I just want to tell you what we're contemplating here tonight. And that would be the possibility of a salary increase for our director. Our director, since being nominated to become our director, has not accepted any offers of a pay increase until our teachers got raises to get us to a more acceptable level. And we've tried in the past to give him some raises, and he has refused. Now, I will have to say that our director did accept a one-time stipend of $2,100, and that was from COVID funds that all employees in the county had gotten. But our director would not accept that money until after all employees had received theirs. So, moving forward with the possibility of a pay increase at this time was based on what? Well, what that was based on, part of the responsibilities as myself as the chairman is to negotiate with the director of schools on his contract. Then bring those negotiations back to this board for either approval or not approval. So during the negotiations, and it's tough, let me tell you, it was long and drawn out, a lot of cards on the table. No, I'll have to say it took about 2 minutes. As I said, I think the board would be interested in entertaining the idea of getting you an increase, because our teachers are at a more acceptable level, and that's what you said. So I said, how can we figure out what you're really worth? Well, then came up Matt's idea, a mathematical equation. Math don't like it. So he said, let me get with Melissa, our finance director, and I'll get back with you. So he did. And the way the mathematical equation came to be is all the raises that the teachers have gotten since Matt's tenure here would equal his raise. And I thought, you can't beat that kind of thing. Because math don't lie. And it's exactly what our certificated employees have got. Now, to me, I may be a little biased on this statement, but when a man is negotiating his salary, and everybody's salary is important to them, it's important to their families, there's a lot of aspects that go into a man's salary, or a woman's salary, for that matter. We're all equal. But putting it up to a mathematical equation and keeping it to the same level of what our teachers have gotten since his tenure here. And that amount would equate to a 1% increase on his base salary. And that amount would be $12,000. So, with that being said, the floor is open for any discussion or a motion from the board.
Make a motion to accept as presented. Contract. No.
This is his former, this is his current
Okay, we'll
contract.
have it, okay, we'll have it.
We're doing that.
But
Did we
Okay,
make
well, I
a
approve the
decision?
$12,000. Is that what we did? Did you say what?
12,000.
12,000.
I approve that, we,
And I
to the
said,
12,000.
any further discussion? Wait, no, we can't do that. We have a
No.
motion.
I'm second. Steve?
Okay,
I did twice.
so we have a motion and we have a second. Now we have any further discussion.
Sorry.
Just a question,
Yes.
where's the origin of this? And I'm trying to, because the statement you just made, as a chairman, that you have the responsibility or the authority or
I
whatever
was,
to
it was asked
negotiate
of,
that?
it was asked of me to look into a possible increase in pay because of the actions of our director. Since he's been here, he has not accepted any increases in salary or any
I
bonuses.
understand that.
Now, look, okay, I'm explaining it. So therefore, since when we got to the point, our teachers got raises and we're at a more acceptable range with our teachers. And considering the environment of other school systems needing directors, and it was posed to me as the chairman to see if we could not, in some way, form, or fashion, give an increase to the director of schools. That's when I went and talked to the director of schools, number one, to see if he would accept a pay increase. And like I said in my statements, yes, he's receptive to a pay increase at this time. So therefore, we got to talking about what amount. So that's where the negotiations come in, and that's where it all originated, and now it's before this board.
Well, you know, and I guess my question is somewhere there was an origin of that. Whether it, whoever it was or wherever it was, should it not have been brought up before this whole board at some type of a meeting somewhere at some time prior to bringing us here in the middle of the arena?
What would we have done then, Mr.
Well,
Hicks? What?
We could have asked the pertinent questions that if we ask them here, may be embarrassing to somebody.
Well, ask the questions. If
Well, I mean, it's like the authority that you made the statement that you had the authority as the chairman to approach him. And I'm just asking, where is that authority? Because my understanding is we're separate members of this board, and none of us have any more power than the other to do anything. So that's my question. And I like for things to be done according to the way the books say we ought to do it.
Policy number, we can sit here and refer to policy if you like, and I don't have it in front of me. The duties and responsibilities of the chairman, and one of those duties is negotiating the contract.
Surely we can pull that policy up, because I know it's in state law.
Now, I'm not looking at state law.
Well, it tells what the duties of the chairman is in state law.
Well, read it.
I mean, it's very simple what their job is, what the job is, and I'm just concerned that it just bugs me.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. While Mr. Hicks looks for that state law. Mr. Phillips, do you have any input on that?
On what now?
On whether the chairman has the authority to negotiate with the director?
Well, anything you do has to come before the board, so it doesn't make any difference.
Right. I say we move.
Well,
Accept it or reject it, it
well,
doesn't make a
it's
difference.
state. I'm sorry.
Who talked, in my opinion.
Well, and that state law is 49-2-205, when it has the powers and duties of the chairman.
Okay.
And it says, it is the duty of the chair of the local board of education to preside at all meetings of the board, appoint committees authorized by the board, to serve as chairman of the executive committee, and to co-sign all warrants authorized by the Board of Education issued by the director of school for all expenditures of the school system. That's it.
Well, Mr. Christian's brought it before the board, and I think we should just vote.
It's fine, but
Well,
but the thing about it is, it's totally out of order.
Well,
I'm just
I
making
think
that
that's an
point.
opinion.
I'm just making that point.
I think that's an opinion.
No, it's not. It's definitely backed by state law. And as Mr. Phillips has told us several times, that state law is state law.
Are you saying, I take it that you thought we should have had a meeting?
A workshop or something.
to discuss
Even
this?
if we had got with him and him as a client deal, somehow or another, so the information wouldn't have been blindsiding. Because I had to ask what it was all about. 'Cause I had no clue. But go ahead. It's fine.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
disagree you had no clue. I disagree. I'm just telling you.
No, I had to call you and ask you what it was all about.
You didn't call me.
Sure I did.
No, I called you to tell you.
Okay, fine.
So there, there, you
Okay,
were
that's
informed.
fine.
Just like every other board member sitting here, including Ms. Craddock, that is absent, was informed of the intent
Okay.
of the negotiations. So there, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any amendments to this motion?
Just that it be, I would offer that it be done for the whole calendar year. Cause that salary raise for the teachers was done last fall. I
You're
would
saying retro?
retro to, I don't know, January of this year.
So I would second that amendment. So we got a second to the amendment. If there's no further discussion on that, we'll vote on that and then go back and take up the original amendment.
Chris,
Can I make an amendment to the motion? And, or to the, not necessarily to the amendment, but an amendment to the motion?
Hang on.
Go ahead.
your amendment was retro.
To retroactive it to, January first of this year.
Okay. Now,
What, can I looked real quick, but up to this point, I forgot what the salary was.
Oh, it's 105.
105, okay, so we're looking at going to 117.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I want to know. With that being said, as an emotion, as an amendment to the motion,
Yeah.
I would like to amend that we take the salary of the director of schools to $125,000.
I'm gonna do it in 30 seconds.
If somebody can second it if they want to, or we can just sit here and crawl under the
Okay.
table.
Okay, we're trying to say.
Now,
Now,
Okay.
it's been seconded, so I wanna weigh in here.
well, wait just a minute, I'm gonna weigh in too. But go ahead. Just, you hold your peace, sir. Because I don't disagree that we're living in tough times. And they're gonna get tougher. I've been to Elizabethton today, myself. And from Rogersville to Elizabethton, diesel fuel is anywhere from $3.65 to $4.19 a gallon. Now, I don't know where we're headed down the road, but I think that if we're gonna try to secure that, based on what I know, to some degree, then we've got to do what I think is appropriate in doing it. And I know whenever Mr. Hickson came, we increased the salary of the director then. He's been here long enough now that he's not taking any salary increases, and the heck with the math. I'm looking at it from a humanitarian thing with the responsibilities and the time spent and everything else. Whether I don't agree with all of them, and I don't have no problem stating my cases, and I'll always state them as long as I'm on this board, unless you shoot me or cut my tongue out. So that's my position on it. And if we as a board can't come up with, another $12,000 to supplement that salary up there to what I consider an appropriate salary level for what he does, based on the circumventing systems around us,
All right.
then that's my position.
Okay.
Kudos to you.
Thank you. So, we have the motion.
That's an amendment.
So it's an amendment, and we have a second on that. So now, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you, would you say that now?
Yeah,
Just,
Accept it, go on.
say thank you.
Guys, this thing is open in discussion right now, and I want you to know that I have a lot of problems with this to some degree. I have a lot of problems with the way things are done and what we do, and some of them, but that's the bottom line. We still gotta figure out how we're gonna run this school system. And we gotta do it, because my position is, I don't think that nobody in the system, pardon my French, should make as high a salaries as some of them do in comparison to his. If he don't make $25,000 more annually than any other employee in the school system, then we're cheating him, regardless of the time.
okay, we have an amendment, we have a second.
Call for the question.
You can't call for your own question.
I can't, sir.
Any further discussion on Mr. Hicks's amendment? Yes. Okay, so, is there any further discussion on Mr. Hicks's amendment? If no, Ms. Jennifer, call the roll.
Boyd,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Mrs. Craddock is absent, Hicks,
Yes.
Shedden,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Okay, that amendment passes. Thank you. Back to McClure's amendment,
Retro January first.
correct. Ms. Jennifer, if you would call the roll, please.
Can, point of order, who seconded that? I'm just,
Debbie.
okay, okay.
No,
I'm
no,
just-
Debbie got the.
Okay, I'm just asking, I didn't hear it.
I
Don't have
didn't do
to.
the.
Oh, I did. I
You
said-
did it, you did it.
You know what?
Who you got down, Jennifer?
Too many
I'm in
people.
the wrong motion to start with.
That's thank you.
Oh, okay.
Forgive me, your no.
We're on to the vote for McClure's amendment.
Retro after the January
Yeah.
Correct.
2023.
Correct.
Trent,
Yes.
Shedden,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Okay. That brings us to the original motion.
As amended.
As amended,
Amendment to the
which
text.
would make it truly a motion to increase the salary.
Right.
So that's the one part of that. As amended.
Because the money value is no cost.
Right. So,
We've already got it.
Ms. Jennifer, call the roll.
Boyd,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Shedden,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you all. So, Mr. Hicks, would you accept? Or do you need some time to think about it?
No, you said it right. Thank you.
Just say thank you.
Sure you did.
I appreciate it very much. That was unexpected, and, I'll leave it at that because Mr. Hicks told me to be quiet.
Hey, he listened to you.
Wait
For
a minute.
one time.
I told you I would continue to learn as I got this job, so anyway.
From my point of view, it's great expectations from here.
It is.
I'm just kidding.
I do fully understand that in all seriousness.
But, just closing thought on this. I'm gonna call him Matt, cause he's one of us. He may have came to us from California, but he is a Hawkins County in that.
Yes.
And it's Matt. Matt gets out, he visits our schools, he's out in the public, he's seen, he's an ambassador for Hawkins County and Hawkins County schools. Every one of our students, he's an ambassador. And his staff that he's put together and what they're bringing to this county is unprecedented in Hawkins County schools history. So I want to personally thank you, not as a board member, but as a father, and having students in Hawkins County schools. Thank you.